check it out. This is the new Radiomaster Pocket. This is an awesome new controller from Radiomaster that isn't quite a gamepad size controller and not quite as big as a full size controller. It's a really nice hybrid. Not only that, but this thing has ELRS built in, comes in a bunch of different transparent case covers, and the version that I have here with ELRS built in is selling for only 65 bucks. Let's open this up and see what we got in the box. Comes in a nice carrying bag. This looks like a screen protector. It's a screen protector, got a charging cable, user manual, and some stickers. Look at that. That's an awesome size. I love the size of this. You gotta take this off. Oh my god. All right. I gotta play with this for a minute, and then I'm gonna really show you guys this, because this is a nice controller. All right, so this is the new Radiomaster Pocket Radio. I wouldn't call it a full-size radio, and I wouldn't really call it a gamepad style controller. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not quite as big as my Mambo. Quick size comparison for you. Here's a FX Mambo. And then we have the Radiomaster here, and then here is a Jumper T Lite. So it's not quite as small. Can't really see all these. There you go. There's the Mambo. Here's this one. It's a little bit smaller than a full size, but not quite as small as a gamepad. So I really like the size of this thing. So this version I have here is the charcoal version, which is kind of like a tinted version of the clear one. They have a clear version that you can get this in. You can also get different colored shells for this. Now I have a blue one here, but they also have orange, yellow, and pink, I think. I went with the blue, so I'll show you guys how to install this later in the video. I'm pretty excited to see how this looks. In addition to the colors, the Radiomaster Pocket comes in two different protocol versions. The version that I have here is the ELRS 2.4 gigahertz version. So this will be able to bind to any drone that has a 2.4 gigahertz ELRS receiver on it. They also make a CC 2500 version. I think most people are probably gonna just go with the ELRS version. In addition to the built-in protocols, you do have a Nano TX module bay back here. So this is where you can attach something like this Crossfire module, or pretty much anything that is a nano size. Comes with a nice little cover. Click this up, and then you have access to the pins right here. So the internal ELRS module is a 2.4 gigahertz module that comes flashed with 3.0.1 out of the box. It has up to 250 milliwatts of output power, and the antenna for that module is right on top. You got this antenna right here, kind of folds and it pivots. Since we're kind of looking at the top of the radio, in addition to the antenna, we've got all of our primary switches. This switch right here is the only momentary switch that you have, so this will probably be what you use for a beeper function. In the same spot on the other side, we have a notched jog wheel that we could use to control a servo, or maybe I'll probably end up having this mapped to the throttle output on my controller, but you could use this for whatever you want. These two switches right here are single position buttons. This side I'll probably set this one up to be my arm switch, and this side I'll probably just have this be like turtle mode or something. And then finally these rocker switches right here, these are 3 position switches, and you can make these be whatever you want. I'm probably gonna set mine to be air mode off, air mode on, and angle mode, or whatever. Finishing up the top of the controller, in addition to all the switches, you have a DC trainer port right here, and then over on this side you have a USB-C port. Now this USB-C port connects to the computer, and then you have an additional USB-C port on the bottom. Now this one is used to charge it. You can use these both at the same time. I don't know what happens if you accidentally plug in the power one to this one. I don't want to try it. I'm going to just know that this is for the PC and this one's for charging. So just keep that in mind. I don't know what'll happen. I probably wouldn't try it. Since we're looking at the bottom, we also have a headphone jack down here, and then you have a micro SD card slot, and mine came with a 256 megabyte micro SD card, and this has our Lua scripts and probably a couple other things on it. Now before I show you guys the front of the controller, we have to take a look at the back, because this is actually where they're keeping the stick ends for the gimbals. So they have a nice little groove that's in this is kind of like a rubberized plastic, but they have a groove or a cutout for the stick ends, and you just pull them out like that, and then they screw into the gimbals, and it makes storing this controller pretty easy. When you're holding the controller like this, you really don't feel the holes that those are sitting in. It's very smooth. Now when you lift up the rubber covers, these actually come right off. You have two 18650 battery ports, so these won't come with your radio. Mine came with these, but from what I understand, they're not shipping the controller with these, so you'll have to buy these separate. I'll leave a link to two 18650s that would work with this down in the description. Behind these battery trays, you have the gimbals, and to adjust the tension on those, you have a couple holes where you can put a screwdriver and you can adjust the tension for whatever you need to adjust the tension on. They have a nice little diagram in their manual for this, and I'll flash that on the screen now. So two 18650 batteries. We've got our nano module bay right here. That's built right into the controller, so you don't have to wire anything in. That's just ready to go, so that's nice. And I think that that's pretty much it for the back of the controller. I'm gonna put these back on. All right, so now looking at the front of the controller, we've got full-sized Hall sensor gimbals, which are very smooth. Like I said, if you need to adjust the tension on either of these, you have those little cutouts in the back. Underneath the gimbals right here is our trim adjustment. We have a little lanyard hook right in the middle. Our power buttons right here. We've got some nice LEDs to illuminate that when you're turning it on. You have a speaker right here. And then over on this side, we have our model button as well as a jog wheel, and this will act as a selection button too. So this clicks down. Over here you have a system button, and this is what you'll click or hold down to access the ELRS Lua script or any controller settings. And then right here you have a return button up top, you have a page up, page down, and then a telemetry button. What's up, Troncat from the future? The entire segment that I recorded going through the menus on this thing didn't have any audio, so now I'm refilming this a couple days later, and honestly, you guys will probably just get a better gist for the features on this thing that I want to point out now that I've had some time to actually play with the radio. As you can see, I do have the new blue shell on here, and it looks pretty sick. If you want to see how to install that, stick around to the end of the video. I go over the entire process for swapping the shell. So out of the box, the controller comes with Edge TX pre-installed.
Welcome to Edge TX.
And it comes with a few models ready to go. There's an FPV drone model, and that's what I use to create my current models. Right now I have the ELRS model selected, so if we hit the model button, that'll bring us into our model selection. I have an ELRS model and I have a Crossfire model. Those are pretty much the only two that I will use, because the ELRS model is bound to all of my ELRS drones using the built-in Express LRS module, and then the Crossfire model uses the nano bay on the back, so whenever I plug this in, it binds with all of my existing Crossfire drones. So now let's go into our system settings. So you click the system button right here. It's going to bring us to our tools menu first, and this is where you're going to see our Lua scripts. The first one is Express LRS. This is the selection button, so click down. It's going to load the Express LRS Lua script. From here, you can change the packet rate, the telemetry ratio, the TX power. This is up to 250 milliwatts, so you can adjust the power through here. You can enable Wi-Fi, bind to your receiver. You can see what version of Express LRS is on it, all that good stuff. Now, back in the tools menu, you'll see that there's a lot of games on here, and I don't know if I've been living under a rock or if this is just like something new that I'm just now discovering on this radio or what, but you have Asteroids, Breakout, Pong, you have an FPV simulator, you have Snake, Tetris, and at the very bottom they have TBS Agent Light, so it does come with the Crossfire Lua script ready to go. But all of those games, I have never seen games on a radio, so this is the first time I'm seeing this, and it's pretty cool. And I started playing a couple of them, and I want to show you guys the simulator, which is actually pretty cool. So as you can see, I'm kind of flying a little drone right now through a bunch of different gates. My record's 19. Oh shit. Oh. 32. That's a new record. Anyways, you get games on here. It's kind of cool. And yeah, you got Asteroids, Breakout, Pong. Pretty cool. Other than that, you have standard menu stuff. When you hit page up, it'll bring you to the SD card. So this is where you'll manage all the things that you put on your SD card. Page up, radio settings, you can change the date, you can change how long the splash screen takes, all that stuff. Click it again, global functions, trainer, hardware, version. So this is where you can see the current firmware that's running on this thing. And I think that's the last screen, yeah. So that's pretty much the system menu. So now I'll cut to some footage of me actually using this in the field. So when I took this out, it was actually before I changed the shell. So when you're about to see me using it, it's in this gray shell. Feels the exact same, just a different color. I like how the blue looks. I think it looks pretty sick. I had a project with Supercharged down in Connecticut where I'm chasing some go-karts around, and I really wanted to test out this radio, and I did really like how it felt. And yeah, so I wore a GoPro on my chest, filmed myself doing this. I'll put some side by side with this combined with the footage from the drone, and you can kind of see me getting a feel for it and just kind of using it on a project. Alright guys, just got back from that project and I love how this thing feels. The plastic feels really solid and the LEDs that are in here look pretty cool with the transparent case. I really like the size of it, and like I said earlier, it's a really nice hybrid between something like my Jumper T-Lite, which is a gamepad style controller, and the Mambo, which is my primary full-size controller. This one's somewhere in the middle and I just really like how it feels. Folds up nice, the antenna folds down, the stick ends just sit in the back of the handles, and it just feels really solid. So this isn't necessarily gonna replace my Mambo. This is gonna be my primary Express LRS controller though, and it is gonna be my main backup controller. So my Mambo, I don't have an ELRS module for that. That is just my TBS Crossfire, and that's what I use it for. This one is gonna be a little bit of everything. I'll be able to use this Crossfire module in the back with all my Crossfire drones, and then I'll also be able to use Express LRS drones as well. So yeah, solid controller. Before I end the video, I gotta show you guys how this blue shell looks. I've obviously never taken this controller apart before, but let's see how easy this thing comes apart, and we'll check out this new shell. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is take this module off, put the cover on, and should just have to take these covers off. So these literally just pull off like that. I'm gonna remove the batteries. All right, so we've got 4 screws. I'm assuming we take these 4 out. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll remove those. And then when you take apart the controller, there's 1 ribbon cable right there. And I'm just gonna pull it out of the main board. So that's that right there. So we are going to have to remove these things and transfer them over to the other cover. Now I'm gonna switch this to a Phillips. We'll take this board off right here. And actually I'm gonna remove this because I don't want it to be locking anything in place. But this board is held in with 3 Phillips head screws. And before I do that, actually, I'm going to remove this plug right here. So that's the plug that's gonna stay on the controller or on the piece of plastic, because we have new ones on this. And then 3 screws holding this in. We've got another plug that I'll actually remove just to make this a little bit easier. Cool. So now with that out of the way, I'm gonna remove the main board right here. 3 Phillips heads. 3. There we go. So pulling on the ribbon cable kind of gets it out. So we can put that here. This is held in with It looks like 2 Phillips head screws. 1 and 2. Don't get these screws mixed up. These 2 that were taken out and then the 3 that we took out for this bottom board. If it helps you, you could put those 3 in right now because that's just sitting there. Remember how these wires are ran? The wires are kind of run underneath this. So we're gonna have to run that after the fact on the new controller. So here's our jog wheel. Take those up. All right, so there's the jog wheel. And then 2 more screws over here. And these are probably the same screws that we just removed on that side. All right, so there's our switch. We can move that to the new housing, I guess. So that just kind of pushes out like that. And now we're all set with this. Now we'll just reassemble all of that stuff over on this new controller. Test it out, see what it looks like. That's pretty cool. I gotta see what it looks like in all blue though. So now you pretty much do the same thing with these pieces. You've got 6 screws for this main board, and it looks like that's probably just part of that, and then this antenna will come out. But this should all be one piece. The board right here, 6 screws, 6 Phillips head screws, and then you've got 8 Phillips head screws for the 2 gimbals. You've got 4 on this one and 4 on this one. Remove the antenna before you take this off. Some glue on there, whatever, dude. And before we take this board completely out, we'll have to disconnect the gimbals. Just remember that this plug goes here, this plug goes here, this one goes here, and this one goes here. Unplug that. I'll unplug this side. So I'm also going to disconnect this right here. This is kind of just the power button. And then we have a ribbon cable right here, and this is pretty easy to do. You just lift up on that, and then this just pulls right out. So before we remove the board, I am gonna remove the screws for the gimbals. So we've got 4 on this one and 4 on the other one. 4. Carefully take that out. That one, and now I'll just do the same to this one. There's that. And now this board should come out. There we go. We've got the ribbon cable. These buttons kind of fall. It looks like we have to also disconnect this one. And now this board should come out. There we go. So there's our main board. So I'm kind of just keeping it nice and organized there because that's exactly how it's going to go back together in the new case. Here we have our, we got a bunch of different little buttons. So just keep those handy. Those pull right out. We got a speaker down here. We've got our power button and our screen. So our screen is held in with 4 screws, so we'll remove that. So this H bracket comes off like that, and then the screen pulls right up, and that has the ribbon cable attached to it. And we have our lanyard hook right here. So I'm gonna do that next. We'll do the speaker, 2 screws holding this in. And there's a speaker. So now we just have to get the antenna out of there. So for this, I think the easiest way to do this is just with a little bit of force. You can rotate the antenna a little bit to help you. I think probably having it that way is best. Just push on the 2 ears. You've got 4 ears, 2 of them are like locking. Just push on it and eventually it'll pop out. There we go. There's the antenna. So now we can put this back in, and make sure that you're putting this in the right way. Don't put it in like that, because then your antenna is going to fold like that and you're going to have to remove it again, and it's kind of a pain to remove. So I'm going to just insert it like that, because I know that that is one of the ways that it sits. Like that. It clicks in place, and now it pivots. There you go. Got our antenna. All right, so we got the batteries back in. That's all screwed together. Let's turn it on. Moment of truth.
Welcome to HTX.
Dude, that looks so sick. I feel like I like this one better than the charcoal. I might end up doing like a two-tone kind of deal on this. This is so cool. Yeah, this is a very nice controller for the price. What you get ELRS built in, some cool transparent covers. It's Radiomaster, so you know it's solid. And yeah, definitely recommended. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave the video a like, and if you have any questions about the new Radiomaster Pocket Radio, leave a comment down below.